Okay, so I know I've made this promise before. I start out late on Monday night, say it's me, you, which is going to be again here today. We got film notes, we got mailbag, we got lots to get to. And I've broken that promise, I think, every single time that I've made it. That promise being, hey, we're going to go short tonight. Well, tonight, I promise you, because an end of season tradition for your boy has come early, in which point, as soon as the Patriots stop playing football, I start to get sick. Nothing major, probably a little bit of cold, but we're going to get in today. I'm going to give you Drake Maye's 2 big leaps that we saw on Sunday, despite another devastating loss. Patriots are 3-10. They stink. That's not new. The sharp pain at the end of this, though, with Anthony Richardson going in for a 2-point conversion, obviously new, not a whole lot of fun. So spent a lot of time today with Drake Maye after I wrote about the defense. Post-game Sunday, we're going to do offense, defense. We need to talk, because again, no game balls. Patriots lose, so we sit somebody down, face-to-face. We need to talk. What would NFL film say? And they get to your mailbag questions, which actually hit on a quote that if I was writing a column today, instead of 2,000, God knows how many words for the Herald, I would have written about this quote from Jerod Mayo that he gave reporters this morning in the typical morning after press conference that I think got completely glossed over in the coverage this morning I talked about with Doug because he handles that stuff for us on Mondays. Anyway, we will get to that. And I think it's like 14 mailbag questions. So when I promise it's got to go quick, either my voice is going to give out, the clock is going to run out, or my computer's just going to shut down because it's sick of looking at me. Anyway, moving forward, Drake Maye, 2 big leaps, his best game as a pro, his most accurate game as a pro. And before we get into the how and why of that, let's pay some bills. Number 1, game time, okay? You probably don't want to go see the Patriots when it's freezing cold and they're playing the Chargers and the Bills. Those are the only 2 home games left. But if you want to get tickets to a Celtics game or a Bruins game or a concert or show, and the holidays are coming up, go to Game Time. Because at Game Time, you will spend less money than you would anywhere else in the secondary ticket marketplace, and they give you 110% guarantee if you do find a lower price elsewhere. But you won't. Just go to Game Time. Again, NBA, NHL, NFL still. If you do want to come to New England, come hang out with me. Go to Game Time for that lowest price guarantee, plus Game Time Picks, which filters out all the fluff, all the bad deals, only the good seats, cheap prices right in front of you, and all-in pricing. So no pesky fees at the end. And best of all, if you download the Game Time app today, create an account, use code CLNS, you get $20 off your first purchase. Terms do apply. Again, create an account, use code CLNS for $20 off. Download Game Time today. What time is it? Game Time. Now, while you're at the game, if it's not so good, I'm going to give you something else to download. Prize Picks, America's #1 daily fantasy sports app. Prize Picks, you know, I play. Last Sunday, it was on the pod, whenever the pod came out. I gave you 2 winners. Hunter Henry, more than 43.5 receiving yards against the Colts. They're a bottom 10 defense versus tight ends. That was a layup. You get 75. Drake Maye, more than 0.5 touchdowns. With that lineup, you could have won double your money. And with as few as 4 correct picks at Prize Picks, where you build a lineup with 4 players. Your favorite players, whatever it is, they come with stats. You go more or you go less in each one. There it is. It's that simple. You can win up to 100 times your money with as few as 4 correct picks. You make them in less than 60 seconds and turn your takes into real money all season long. My new favorite feature, Venmo. I've told you before. I use it. It's quick, easy. My money gets back to me in less than 15 minutes. So sign up today. Play with me. Play Prize Picks and get $50 instantly when you play your first $5 lineup. You don't even need to win to get that bonus. Just download the app today. Use code CLNS for that $50 bonus instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. Prize Picks, run your game. Okay, Drake Maye. So what is this big leap? What is this sudden thing that he did on Sunday when you were watching with me? And he's playing really well. We could all see that. But what's underneath there when you kind of pop up in the hood with Drake Maye? Well, number 1, he didn't turn the ball over, which we talked last week. I'm not worried yet. I'm keeping an eye on it, though, that he seemed to be not regressing, but making plays in college that everyone was a little bit worried about. The hero ball throws, the I need to do everything plays, which were understandable. But over a long period of time, for a young guy building habits, I don't care if you're playing quarterback or you're at an internship, you need to do things the right way. This wasn't that. Well, he, for now, fixed that. 0 turnover-worthy plays for Drake Maye. So no picks, no fumbles, no drop picks, no inviting a fumble, okay, that he recovered. Nothing. 0. Huge improvement. Number 2, and this is the big one of my film review, which you can always read at thebostonherald.com. Or if you're, I actually pick up a paper from time again. I was going to say a dinosaur. I don't want to dismiss myself and you at the same time, but if you want to pick up a paper, it's in there too. Number 2 is anticipation. Okay. And the reason this is important, I'm going to go back to a cookout that I did not attend in May of 2021. This came up as I was doing background on Eliot Wolf back in the spring. Patriots front office is getting together. Everyone's coming out of COVID. Offseason starting to die down. Draft is over. Eliot Wolf is at this cookout, but he's not the de facto GM yet. Again, this is 2021. Matt Groh isn't even in that role yet. This is at Dave Ziegler's house, former director of player personnel here, more recently the Raiders GM, since then fired, now with the Saints, I think. But at this cookout at Dave Ziegler's house, where all of the Patriots front offices, Ron Wolf shows up, Eliot's dad, Hall of Famer, former Packers GM, built that 1996 Super Bowl team that went and lost the Broncos 2 years later. And so eventually, after a couple of drinks, as I heard from multiple people at this party and writing my profile of Eliot Wolf, someone asked, like, hey, what's the secret to a quarterback? And he gives 3 traits. Arm talent, which obviously we know Drake Maye has in droves. Number 2 is accuracy. Accurate enough in college. He's certainly gotten better, and this is something that functionally, mechanically you can improve on in the pros. He's done that. Number 3, the third most important trait, according to this Hall of Fame GM, father of the man now running the Patriots, who learned at his knee since he was a teenager, was anticipation. So when I look at Drake Maye against the Colts, convert 5 first downs on passes that leave his hand as or before his intended target is making a break on his route, that's it right there. I don't care if it's man coverage. I don't care if it's zone coverage. Drake Maye hit a new high with his anticipation on Sunday against the Colts, where, the overall numbers are good. Again, you knew he was playing well. 24-30 for 238 yards, a touchdown and a pick, 59 rushing yards, 41 of those on a scramble. But it was the anticipation. 2 third down throws to Hunter Henry, right on the money. Before Hunter Henry turns his head around, the ball is there. Boom. 16-yard touchdown. Austin Hooper. He's breaking towards the flag on that corner route. Right over the shoulder. Touchdown. Kendrick Bourne. I tweeted this clip out. Going over the middle. Finds a soft spot in cover 2. Okay, Hunter Henry holds the nearby hook defender. Kendrick Bourne slips in behind. Ball right in stride, right there, before Bourne gets into that window. He had another 7-yard out. Austin Hooper still tweeted it. This is not the last step for Drake Maye, but it's a crucial one because there are good, let's say average, NFL quarterbacks that go through their entire careers needing to see an open window before they deliver that ball. They want to see the receiver break. They want to know that he's open. Then they throw it. Great NFL quarterbacks know the window is going to come open or create it themselves with these types of throws. Again, Drake Maye did that 5 times against the Colts, who you could say, okay, these are not like the 2000 Ravens, 85 Bears, or even the Eagles this year. Fine. But you go back and watch those throws. And if you'd rather look at the stat sheet, here's the number for you. A CPOE, completion percentage over expected, plus 10.3%, meaning Drake Maye, yes, had an 80% completion percentage, 24 of 30, 238 yards, pretty good. Based on the proximity of the defenders to his receivers, how far these throws were, and how tight the windows were, his expected completion percentage was only about 69. Still not bad. He did 80. This spoke to his anticipation, his arm talent, and his accuracy. This was an outstanding day for him. So whether you look at the stats, you want to look at the clips, and granted, the Colts play a pretty straightforward scheme, right? It's a cover 3 base. They didn't blitz a whole lot. When they did play man, he killed them. Touchdown to Hooper, 41-yard scramble, a couple out completions to Hunter Henry. And they did sprinkle in some disguise cover too, but it didn't matter. He sifted through the disguise. He beat the tight man-to-man coverage with these anticipatory throws, which gets to the point of there's no defense for a perfect pass. And if this kid who can throw the ball 70 yards downfield with a flick of his wrist, who can scramble for 41 yards, the third longest play of the season for the Patriots, by the way, is now making 12-yard corner routes or 8-yard out routes or skinny posts and hitting them between the numbers on the move against different types of coverage, there's nothing he can't do. I'm not saying this will continue. I'm not guaranteeing anything, but this was a leap. This was different from Drake Maye. Whether you looked at the traditional box score, the advanced metrics, or the clips that I tweeted, those anticipatory throws can and will take him to another level. He needs to do it again and again, but this was a first step and a big one for a kid who is not even taking steps anymore. These are leaps. He's had 8 starts, and he was one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL this week, and it was no accident. So good stuff from Drake Maye. One thing I want to knock him on, he did escape a couple of pockets a little prematurely going to his right. That's where he likes to go, where he likes to escape. A lot of right-handed quarterbacks who can run do that. One of them resulted in a sack. A couple others didn't, but just something to monitor. Critical areas. Patriots won the turnover battle 2-1. doubled up the Colts in explosive play rate. They had a similar success rate. Colts are at 58.5%. Patriots are at 59.5%. So again, just staying on schedule. How often are you doing this? Red zone efficiency. We'll get to this in a second. Patriots 2 of 6. Colts 3 of 4. Defensive pressure rates were about the same. 28% for the Patriots. Colts pressured May about 30% of the time, which honestly, great number for this Patriots offensive line. So those are the 5 factors determine most, if not every single football game. But sometimes they can be weighted differently. Whereas you can have fewer turnovers, more explosive plays, a similar pressure rate, a higher success rate, and still lose the game because you did not convert in the red zone. Now, we could talk about how the Patriots had really high success rates in 11 personnel, and 2 tight end personnel, and Alex Van Pelt mixed it up. We saw the shovel pass to Hunter Henry, and Marcus Jones is on the field, and they're really carving up this cover 3 defense the way Josh McDaniels used to. Okay, Drake Maye didn't attempt to pass that was more than 16 yards past the line of scrimmage, according to Next Gen Stats. This was, we're going to carve you up, and they did it over and over again. But you don't want to hear that. Like, you saw the yards. In the end, it didn't matter. Why didn't it matter? It's because they had screw-ups in the red zone. And here's what happened. Number 1, opening drive. Okay, they get down 3rd and 1, 2, and Kendrick Bourne is running a shallow crossing route, a concept called mesh. Okay, and I think it was Kayshon Boutte or Demario Douglas on the other side. Actually, it wasn't Douglas, but I think it was Kayshon Boutte on the other side. Okay, and on mesh, these 2 shallow crossing routes, the coaching point for most teams is when you go across the middle and you start to intersect, you should be able to high-five the other receiver just by holding your hand up. They actually do this in practice. And so what these 2 shallow crossing routes do is if it's man coverage on mesh, okay, one of those guys is going to spring open. That's generally how you get open versus man-to-man coverage. Either traffic, again, 2 intersecting shallow crosses, or you just kind of pull away from the guy. If it's zone, these will stretch the horizontal zone defenders in the hook area. And what happens behind them, behind these 2 shallow crossing routes, is a tight end or a receiver or whomever will run what I call like a stab route. Some people call it over, a stop, whatever. You basically run from one side of the field, 45-degree angle, up and over 8, 9, sometimes 10 yards, turn around and stop right over the middle. Okay? So you go up and stop underneath these crossing routes. If it's man coverage, one of them is open. If not, they're going to pull those defenders over the middle one way or another, and then there's the guy in the back all the way that's open. What happened was Kendrick Bourne, running a shallow crossing route, did that. Hunter Henry stopped, and then so did he. You look at the clip of that play, Kendrick Bourne stops right in front of Hunter Henry, who's about to spring open for a touchdown. And sometimes a coaching point on mesh is to stop, but not right in the middle of the intended target, who should have had a touchdown. What happens instead? Drake Maye takes a sack. Mike Onwenu gives it up to DeForest Buckner, but after 4 seconds, you don't really blame Mike Onwenu. You do blame Mike Onwenu, though, for the next drive, which resulted in a field goal instead of a touchdown, despite the fact the Patriots got to the 2-yard line. Okay? Direct snap to Ramondre Stevenson. He goes right. It's a G lead play, meaning the guard on the play side, wherever the running back is running, pulls around ahead of him. Okay? And Michael Onwenu held on for a split second too long. Okay? But that split second mattered because it took 6 points off the board. So 1st and goal from the 2 was the 1st and goal. The 12, Layden Robinson, rookie left guard, actually played decent, I thought, for a guy who had 2 ticky-tack holding penalties, gave up a couple of pressures. First start at left guard, by the way, in college or the NFL. Okay. Then it's 1st and goal to 22. You're just not going to convert. The next one, May gets a touchdown to Austin Hooper. Great throw, corner route. Last one, this is the one I had an issue with when people get on Alex Van Pelt for the play calling. He gets down there, 41 seconds left, 1st and 10 from the 11, run play. Okay, don't love it. Timeout. 2nd and 9 from the 10, 30 seconds left. Run it again. And even though that play got 6 or 7 yards, you have to call timeout. And now you basically have to throw because you're out of timeouts. And what do the Colts do? They got to stop. I'm not sure why they weren't throwing to begin with. I think the Patriots were too concerned at that point about the clock as opposed to just scoring. Alas, what are you going to do? 3rd quarter, Hunter Henry has that. God, I don't know how else to put this. A kick in the nuts is what it was. Drake Maye rips this low pass away from the incoming defender. Probably a little bit too hot, but what else are you going to do in that situation? For Hunter Henry, who stopped, turned around, found the soft spot in the zone, and he bobbles it, falls backward, back on the goal line, and then it goes up in the air into Colts' hands, interception. Patriots are 3 feet from a touchdown. It might clinch the game right then and there. Oh, by the way, Joey Sly missed the 25-yard field goal after that. Alex Van Pelt, whatever, and a half. Not great. But after that, they get another touchdown. Antonio Gibson runs in for 11 yards. And the bottom line is here, as much as people like me and maybe you want to get on play calling, for games that frustrate you when they get over 400 yards for the first time this season. Their most yards in a game since week 3 of 2022. Sometimes it's bad penalties. Sometimes it's dumb route running. Sometimes it's just bad luck. And in this instance, it was all 3 or 4 of them. Okay. So that's what I had offensively. It was a really good day. Drake Maye made a huge leap. But when you have those mistakes and that critical, valuable real estate that can swing games, and did, as we saw on Sunday, that's what wins or loses games. Now, I would argue the defense lost this game as much as the offense, if not more. A couple more offensive notes. Antonio Gibson forced 7 missed tackles against the Colts. That's the most anyone's done since late October in a Patriots uniform. He, the last 3 weeks, quietly has been better than Ramondre Stevenson, and it's been by, I would say, a solid margin. Stevenson, by the way, fumbling problems are back. He's had 2 in the last 3 games. He recovered both, but running backs should not have 6 fumbles in a season, let alone 6 fumbles in 13 games. That's where Ramondre is right now. Better day for Demario Douglas. More than half of the targets and catches went to him and the tight ends. Again, short area of the field. They're going to eat right there. His route detail has cost the Patriots in completions, maybe that turnover against the Rams at the end of that game. But he secured all 4 targets. Thumbs up for him. And Jalen Polk. So 1 target. Didn't catch it because he sat down in short zone and then slid to the right as Drake Maye was about to throw him the ball. Arm was cocked. Ball was coming out. And he decided to move last second, and that ball went to where he was as opposed to where he was going. So Drake took responsibility for that pass. Rewatching it on tape today, I'm inclined to think maybe if Jalen Polk just sat where he was, he would have caught the ball. We'll never know. Speaking of the rookies, Javon Baker, 2 snaps. Jaheim Bell, 4. Okay. You guys are on the field. Cool. And Jacoby Brissett got in for 1 snap, 3rd and 1 in the second quarter as a fake quarterback sneak specialist. Because Kendrick Bourne took a jet sweep on that play. Got the first down, went for 6 yards. It was nice, but I don't know what else to say. Defensively. So mentioned the Colts had a similar success rate to the Patriots. They only had 2 explosive plays all game. And this is how that Colts offense is built. Anthony Richardson, as we talked about with Karen Regan last week, is going to throw the ball deep or he's going to run with it. Sometimes it's designed, other times it's scrambled. They didn't give up those deep passing plays, though they came very close late in the game and actually benefited from at least 1 drop. So the Patriots against us said, okay, just like Miami, we're going to stay in a base 3 safety personnel grouping. I don't mind that. It means a lot of zone, keep eyes on Richardson. And their preference was to play cover 3. So you had the soft zone look, single high safety, corners more often than not. There are different versions of cover 3. We're taking deep thirds as well. And it allowed them to, sometimes if they wanted to, pack the box. And when they did so, they still had enough speed to defend the pass, again, often in zone, if they wanted to, because they had 3 safeties as opposed to a 3-4 personnel grouping, 1 safety deep, 2 in and around the box, or sometimes play a 2 deep structure if they wanted to. And the results were mixed because, again, the Colts just kept running and running and running. They didn't give up the big play, though. But their first drive was 8 plays. All 8 were successful, either staying on schedule or ahead of the chains. Can't have it. Later on, Covington dialed up more man-to-man and more blitzes to disrupt the Colts on that last drive, which, of course, ended 20 plays when you include the defensive pass interference or the 2-point conversion, or both, and it's 21. Patriots had actually thrived in off-man coverage, which, again, is designed to, I'm playing you man-to-man, one-on-one, but I'm either peeking a little bit into the backfield or looking at your hips to know when and where you're going to break. And this, again, you play off to prevent the deep pass, but also if you're the Patriots, play to your strengths, what they did. And Christian Gonzalez gets a pick in off-man coverage, which is great. But the more the Patriots did this, Richardson attacked Kyle Duggar for a completion. Alex Austin, who played a season high in snaps, more than he had actually all season before Sunday, over Jonathan Jones and Marcus Jones, who were just giving up way too much height to Alec Pierce and, Michael Pittman Jr. We talked about this with Karen. It's going to be a bad matchup for the Patriots. Well, they said, we're not even going to give you the matchup. Alex Austin plays. He's 6'1". Jonathan Jones, Marcus Jones, you can take a seat. Except Alex Austin did not officially give up a catch, had 2 pass breakups. Actually, officially, he did give up 1. He also had a defensive pass interference penalty. Even if it's iffy, the Colts went to the soft spots when the Patriots were in man and converted anyway. Duggar gave up a catch, Austin the catch in the last drive, defensive pass interference penalty. Marcus Jones got very lucky on a deep pass that got dropped as well. Now, again, the drive still took 20 plays. There were 3 fourth down conversions. The Patriots just had to make a play and didn't. And a lot of that was up front. And I don't want to hear about Devon Gotcha saying, well, I did my job on that last play. When Anthony Richardson goes a gap over next to me through to win the game. Jabril Peppers, in his first game back, feel about that however you want, said we just had to be better up front. He's right. Colts ran for 144 yards. They only had 66 after contact. Okay? And it's not like the Patriots are missing tackles. They only missed 3. So their line was bullying the Patriots up front. So they had a fine coverage plan, which worked out to differing degrees. What didn't work is you just can't win when you're getting your butt kicked up front. And that's exactly what happened. So Gonzo had a pick. Christian Ellis had a pick on a tip. Nice play by Jelani Tavai, by the way. No one had more than pressure. Yannick Ngakoue had a second quarterback hit in as many weeks. Ellis also had a quarterback hit, but that was on the play where the Patriots at the end of the first drive, red zone, again, just can't get lined up. And the Colts go hurry up. And they get a 4-by-1 set. And everyone on the right side clears out. They're all crossing around back towards the middle. Back, Jonathan Taylor leaks into the right flat. No one's got him. He walks in. Touchdown. Run stuffs. Daniel Akwali might have even played better than Devon Gotcha, for being honest. He had to run stuff. Gotcha didn't. Gotcha only had 3 tackles. Peppers had 1. Gonzalez had 1. Okay, it says something when a secondary is playing the best run defense. Okay, and granted, they were in nickel or dime most of the game, but your big guys up front had to be better, and they weren't. So I think that about covers it. I look, they again mixed stuff up on that last drive. The Colts had a good call on the 2-point conversion, split the defense. Pepper said, I don't think Christian Ellis converged as quickly as he should have. It's a difficult play when you've got an option involved and a little bit of route on the same play. But the bottom line is a lot of people, some in the press box, knew that it was going to be Richardson because Richardson is what had been working, okay? Quarterback sweeps, quarterback power. That's where it went. They didn't stop him. They lose a game. One more note on that play, though. Christian Barmore, 100% goes on the record to Mike Reese. And you'd see enough reporters tweet this after. He probably talked to them too. And I talked to Christian. We didn't talk about this, though. He had a case that he was illegally held, grabbed from the waist from behind, and chop blocked at the same time. So, yes, the referees absolutely whiffed on this. I don't want to hear, though, that the refs were biased against the Patriots because the Patriots got whistled for a lot of penalties and the Colts didn't. You look at the rankings for penalties per game, Patriots are at the bottom, Colts are at the top, among the fewest penalties taken of any team in the NFL. Okay, but in this instance, yes, the Patriots did get screwed because Christian Barmore makes this incredible swim move right in the gap that Anthony Richardson is coming at. And instead, his man pulls him down from the waist from behind. Quentin Nelson pulling around, topples him from the top. He's flying his back. Richardson goes through for a touchdown. And that stinks. It happened. Christian Barmore also kind of splitting his work down between run and pass. 31 snaps, a little bit less than he had in Miami. The difference now is, whereas he was pretty much a pass rushing specialist his first 2 games back, he's now more early down work because he was about even between run and pass. Okay, we need to talk. So we skimmed over this in the offensive section. Penalties. 4 Patriots offensive linemen. Again, whether the calls were ticky-tack or not, got flagged for holding in the first half alone. The only one who did not was Ben Brown, who people want to talk about Cole Strange playing center. Ben Brown's not the problem right now. But the problem is going from 1st and goal at the 2 to 1st and goal at the 22. Can't happen. No excuses. Like that's just it. You can kick a field goal there. You cannot go back 20 yards on your own. And so whether it was Vidarian Lowe late in the game, late in the first half, Layden Robinson twice, Mike Onwenu, who honestly just had a bad game. He also gave up a 3rd down run stuff after the first interception, 3rd and 1, doesn't realize that they've checked to a new play, blocks around guy, Ryder Stevenson goes down for a 2-yard loss. You can't do this, okay? And this is on coaching with Scott Peters, who we know is a rookie, offensive line coach leading a room for the first time, but he's got plenty of support. He's got 2 assistants. Like most of these guys, except for Layden Robinson, are vets. Even Ben Brown didn't have a career start, but he's been around the league long enough. And granted, he was the one guy who didn't have a hold. But DeMontre Jacobs, like, these are costly penalties. These are ruining an offensive effort that should have put you over 30 points, maybe over 34 points. And it didn't happen. You lost. And you can play the blame game or divide the pie however you want. I'm going to tell you everyone gets a slice, but save a big one for the biggest guys in the room because 4 holding penalties really blew it. 5 total for 4 guys. What would NFL film say? Okay, So you don't want to hear about this in the fictitious hour-long review of the season, but I'm going to tell you the nostalgia is going to paper over a lot of that pain to start, because if you are making this documentary about the 2024 Patriots, you are going to hit hard on the history. Pats, Colts, Brady, Manning. Fast forward, rebuilds for both teams, young head coaches, new quarterbacks. Okay. Could this be the start of a new rivalry? The answer is, yeah, we'll find out. But bam, Richardson touchdown. Boom, Jelani Tavai pick. May answers with this perfect throw to Hooper that you know, because it's in the corner of the end zone where you always have these cameras, is going to get that slow spiral treatment as it's coming down to the dramatic music. Hooper over the shoulder, past the pylon, touchdown. Gillette going nuts. This is like old times again. A tight game, a competitive game, a game people care about. If you're the Colts, you're still in the hunt. If you're the Patriots, you just want to get in the win column before the bye. So after that, you have Patriots take a lead into halftime. Come back. Christian Gonzalez pick. Okay, time to put it away. They can't. So the Patriots, even though they get that Antonio Gibson touchdown, obviously, leave the ball to their defense to stop it. Head into the bye, on a break, go ahead and do it. 4th and 3, Colts convert. Another 4th down, Colts convert. 4th and 2. 4th and goal at the 2, Colts convert. Okay, but here's the thing. It can stop here. They can still win. Everything's slow-mo. You get the radio call from the Patriots. You get the radio call from the Colts. Richardson takes a snap, fake to Taylor, up the middle. Boom, silence. He goes in, scores. That is how they play up this game. Unfortunately, the Patriots are 3-10. Pando devastated Mayo. Drake Maye on the podium. It's heartbreaking. And then, boom, black. So enough boom, enough this, enough that. Enough what would NFL film say? Okay, we're going to get to the mailbag and get you out of here. This was on, I said, every question answered edition for the Patriots. Some people are just mad at Mayo. If you are, it's completely fine. I think today was a mess for him, frankly, messaging-wise, on the In With the Reporters. But you just might not have your question if your question was really more, why does he suck? Big Whiskey from Blue Sky. Follow me on Blue Sky. Asking how secure the coaches' jobs for 2025. Obviously, it was going to be a rebuilding year, but a shocking amount of penalties and a lack of defense. Firing a rookie head coach after 1 year is a sign of a tumultuous organization, but if better options are available, would the Crafts do it? So, I told you off the top, I had a quote the Mayo gave today. Not a disaster, but I didn't think was picked at enough in the subsequent coverage, which is not to call on my colleagues. I was busy today, and we'll get to it probably later this week. The quote was Mayo saying, quote, "We're still focusing on the season." He's talking about what he's going to do over his bye. Someone asked him, what are you going to do? Quote, "We're still focusing on the season, obviously, but you also have to look out the front windshield of things that are going to come up on us fast. And those are some of the decisions or conversations that I'll have during the week." Now, your first thought might be, oh, for agency, he's gonna look at T. Higgins tape. I'm going to look at T. Higgins tape. Oh, he might be talking about the draft, Kelvin Banks Jr. or Travis Hunter. I'm looking at those guys too. And I would encourage you to watch college football. It's awesome. But if I had to bet, that's not what he's talking about. He's talking about coaching changes. So to Big Whiskey's question, how secure are the coaches' jobs for 2025? I would all but guarantee you were going to have a couple of assistants, if not more, let go after this season. Because as soon as the season is over, the regular season is over, that's when you start to hear head coaches go. And that's when you hear about coordinator firings. That's when you hear about assistants moving about. And already you have teams like the Bears and the Jets who lost their head coaches. So a lot of those assistants and their agents or their buddies or their whatever are going to be making calls, starting to think around, ask around. Where could I be next season? Who's going to have an opening? And the Patriots, surely disappointed, as we've talked about in this podcast before, with their receiver play and their offensive line play, and more importantly, their development at receiver and offensive line. And you could probably throw some defensive positions in there as well. Might be asking around, can we do better than Tyler Hughes? Can we do better than Scott Peters? What are our options? Okay. And the options, of course, are going to dictate what they do. But they know, or they should, you hope, that they were at a disadvantage last year because of how long it took to build their staff. And a lot of people told them no, whether it was coordinators or whether it was assistants, okay, didn't want to be here, didn't know what it was like. Drake Maye changes that to some degree. In the last 4 games, might also change the calculus for some assistants. I would say, though, the higher up you go, the more job security there is. I have a really hard time believing the Crafts would fire Jerod Mayo, Roberts' anointed future coach, for 5 years after one season when we all expected them to lose 12, 13, 14 games. And right now they're tracking to be 3-14. Okay. And it's been worse. I'll give you that. But then you go down to the coordinator level. Karen Garrigan plugged in. My gal told you she expects at least one of the coordinators to go. Is it Alex Van Pelt? Is it DeMarcus Covington? Is it Jeremy Springer? I don't know. But I would say down below them, you will see changes on both sides of the ball. So that's my answer for you. Built to last. Quote, what specifically have Mayo and Wolf done to justify another year at the helm? End quote. Well, they got hired less than 12 months ago. Okay. And I'll say this. If me giving you reasons or answers to your question is going to upset you because you think the answer is nothing, then just hit fast forward. Okay. So what I would tell you is, again, that timeline of when they were just hired for a long-term rebuild is what matters. Pain was expected here. And it doesn't make it any easier to watch, whether you're in their jobs or you're on your couch or recording on this podcast. But they were hired for a multi-year job. Okay. Number two, Eliot drafted Drake Maye, which we talked about before. I think it's revisionist history for people who are like, oh, it was a layup. Some people wanted to trade back, including, I think, Bill Belichick, if he was still here. Other people wanted them to take Bo Nix or J.J. McCarthy or Marvin Harrison or Joe Alt. Okay. They didn't do it. And they had some pretty good offers on the table. So the rest of the draft class, open season, go nuts. For agent class, it's like Austin Hooper and that's it. But these are new guys in new positions whose goal was not to win this year. It was to develop and find out who they have and start to reload this upcoming offseason. Okay. They're not there yet. I think they'll both get there. Badger, similarly, with Eliot Wolf being named GM after Kraft hired Mayo, do you think Wolf has the power to fire Mayo, or does he have to go through the Crafts / just Kraft make the decision? Eliot Wolf does not have that power. No. They have kind of a parallel power structure, both reporting to ownership. They're aligned in their vision and their goals and their statements and values and all that stuff. But that is, my understanding is, don't quote me on this, but the reason the Crafts don't have a general manager title is because that presumes that they're, overseeing the entire football operation. It is everyone's favorite word 6 months ago, collaboration up there. But no, if Eliot Wolf wanted to fire Jerod Mayo, that's not his decision to make. I'd rather be playing pinball. What's your take on Mayo saying that if they had taken timeouts during the Colts' final drive, the offense would have had less time to operate than the 12 seconds Drake Maye was left with? Didn't get it. That was part of the reason I thought his messaging was a mess today. I don't know what he was talking about. There was a lot of stuff there that if I was in his shoes, I would have said a lot differently. That's near the top of the list. Corey, Cole, if AVP comes back next year, should the Patriots trade Ramondre Stevenson? He's just not a good fit for outside zone. So I disagree with you on the second part. As for trading Ramondre, who's top 10 highest paid running back right now, and as we said earlier, is being outperformed 3, maybe 4 weeks now by Antonio Gibson, I look into it. Draft another guy. Keep Gibson around. Michael Hasty, if he wants to come back, fine. Third running back, whatever you want to call it. I think they should draft there regardless. I don't know what Stevenson's value would be. Not very good, because other teams are saying, well, why am I going to take him if I can just draft a running back myself? So that's my answer. It's not scheme specific, but just in terms of, assets and allocation. There's no real, opportunity cost to keeping Ramondre at this price. It's not prohibitive to keep him here, and you're not going to not sign T. Higgins because Ramondre Stevenson's on your roster. I'm just saying the value does not meet the contract right now, which is never what you want to have, though inevitably you'll have some so-so to bad contracts on your team, because that's just life in pro sports. Lawrence, hey, Andrew, why do the bye weeks run from weeks 5 to 14 when there are 2 weeks in between with no buys? And are the beat writers off this weekend? So kind of you to think of me. I will be off because you can probably hear my voice slowly start to go. I'm going to rest up. It's been a long stretch since July, and not in this boo-hoo kind of way. It's just, look, you work 6 days a week, 10, sometimes 12 hours, sometimes longer on a Monday. You want that break? It's coming. I'm going to take advantage. I do not know, though, why the NFL runs the buys the way it does. If I had to guess, it's certainly TV related, because that's where the money is, and money is what they care about. So if I were commissioner, you would not have a buy past Thanksgiving, because I think it's just ridiculous for these guys. Forget me sitting here and writing and traveling and going to the stadium, asking questions and doing whatever. Like, you play football and you practice football for this long, end of July, all the way to almost, the early part of December, without a break. It's nuts. Kurt, my brother was happy the Patriots lost because he wants the best draft pick possible. I wanted the team win to build a better culture. Who was right? And can I disown him for the rest of the season? Kurt, you do whatever you want. That's family business. I would say, though, you can lose and still build culture. It's harder, like we talked about with Karen. Champions have champion habits before they're crowned, right? Like that's how you get there in the first place. Then obviously you need to perform, but you also need the carrot still to be dangling there, or to not feel like it's totally out of reach, which when you lose and you lose and you lose, even if you're putting in more work, it starts to feel that way. So I would say you guys can split the difference and agree and hope that maybe they win one game of their last four. Ideally, you would have made that before the game on Sunday, which was their most winnable game left, but neither of you are wrong. It's just going to be a lot harder for a team that I think has struggled with its culture to build a better culture without winning. So it's kind of a mealy-mouthed answer, but there you go. Junior, if you're T. Higgins, what team do you pick next year? Patriots, Chargers, or Steelers? This is not close for me, and it's not a knock. It's not personal to any of the franchises. But you let me play with Justin Herbert, best quarterback on those teams. And Drake Maye could very well be close to Justin Herbert's level, or next year, or maybe past in a couple of years. But I live in LA, I play indoors, and I've got a coach who has won a national championship, been to a Super Bowl and 2 other NFC championship games, and has already turned the team around in year 1. I'm going to the Chargers. Oh, not to mention, by the way, I'm getting a ton of targets because it's me and Ladd McConkey. That's it. Ed, in your opinion, will the Patriots win any of their last 4 games? Or are they destined to go 3-14? I do not believe in destiny, Ed. So it doesn't change the likely answer of no. I think, honestly, their most likely win would be the Bills in Week 18 if Kansas City, which is a brutal schedule down the stretch. They get to play Denver. They're playing the Chargers on Sunday. There's a game at Pittsburgh on Christmas. If the Chiefs lose 2 games, the Bills, if the Chiefs lose 1 more game than the Bills down the stretch, Buffalo has the head-to-head tiebreaker, obviously. So they will not need to do anything else to get the 1 seed. If the Chiefs do lose 2 games, though, and the Bills don't, the Bills can rest their starters in Week 18 and lose and still get the number 1 seed. So that is my scenario, which I think is most likely. If not, though, they're going to be all out to get the 1 seed. That's a problem. No one stopped Josh Allen. He's going to get the MVP. So I don't think they'll win in their last 4 games, but I'm not completely ruling it out, crazy as that might sound. This is a first on the pod, and we got 4 more questions. 5. New Hampshire comments 18 plus white. We have a softball team writing into the podcast, or someone who thought they were tweeting from a different account. Why are certain people in the Boston media covering for Mayo, and what is obvious he's not ready to be head coach and needs to be replaced? Look, I got this question before. Softball team. You just have to be specific, because it's not me. It's not the people that I think of and work with. It's not because I'm covering for my friends or anything like that. I just don't see it. If you have a certain question, I want to point them out. I think I'll know a better idea of what you're talking about, but I just don't agree. And look, at least for me, I certainly am not. Pop, any laughing in the locker room yesterday? No, there was not. I tweeted, as other people did, some joking in the locker room. Got some, I don't want to say like flack for it, but a couple guys asked me about it. Not too pleased last week, which happens, because it certainly came up on their end. But no, there was not. This was as silent as I've heard it in a long, long time. And that, I think, speaks to something we talked about last week, the difference between losing 24-0 at halftime, 31-0 early in the fourth quarter, and knowing, hey, we're going to lose this game. This sucks. And processing it on the sideline for about an hour, then going into the locker room, versus thinking you were going to win until your kicker tries a 68-yard field goal that, honestly, for most of the time it was in the air, looked like it might go in. Then you lose after giving up a 20-play drive to lose it. That's a gut punch, that you are crawling into the locker room without any oxygen in your lungs, then trying to figure out what the hell happened. That is the big difference, I think, between the locker room Sunday in Miami versus the one we had this weekend at home against the Colts. So, 3 more. David Roman, explain how Indy can grab randos off the couch to play offensive line yesterday, completely dominating the run game and keeping their quarterback upright. Well, our offensive line can't run a play without a penalty. What are the coaches doing in Indy that they can't manage to do in New England? So it's funny because I think the in season, aside from trading Josh Uche, whatever you got to pick for him, the best move that Eliot Wolf has made was signing Demontre Jacobs, who's starting at right tackle and doing it at least a replacement or just below replacement level. That's been a minor miracle. So they grabbed Durando off the couch, and it's working. They don't have enough of them. As far as what's going on in Indy, I don't know. I know what's going on in New England is inconsistency, inability to get down to the fundamentals, and good for them with the Colts because Anthony Richardson should have a shot. And by the way, we said this earlier, I'll go back up. Their defensive pressure rate for the Colts, or for the Patriots, was about the same as the Colts. 28% for the Patriots is the time they got pressure on Anthony Richardson. The Colts got pressure on Drake Maye 30.7% of the time, so I didn't see a big difference there. Tamita, given how poorly Eliot Wolf is drafted, should the Patriots just keep their first-round pick and draft the best blue chipper available? I don't trust him to trade down and then choose the right players further down the board. So I don't say this because this is the GM that I cover and have written about and have spoken with in interviews. I say it because just like a rookie quarterback or rookie head coach, 1 year is not a big enough sample unless it is a complete and utter disaster. Not to mention, specific to GMs, the draft is a crapshoot anyway. And the biggest dice roll that he took came up whatever the best case scenario is in craps, and that was Drake Maye. So whoever you think how hard or easy it was to draft Drake Maye, he did it. They nailed it. That is the most important piece, okay? They have, theoretically, for the next decade or so. Now, Caden Wallace might be a suitable right tackle. We don't know. He's been hurt. That's your third-round pick. Layden Robinson is working through rookie growing pains that you expect for a rookie offensive lineman. That was your fourth-round pick. He might come around, as Shaq Mason once did, as this run-blocking, good guard who just needs time to develop and learn how to pass protect. Even if you nail those 3 picks out of the 7, it's a good draft. Now, those are a lot of ifs in the back end with Wallace and Robinson. And Jalen Polk, obviously, I just skimmed over. But I'm just going to tell you, wait and see. 12 months from now, 18 months from now, you want to declare a grade on this draft? Fine. It's just a little too early right now. And that goes for any other team that just drafted last April. Last one. I like this question. Roy, what's a bigger surprise? How well Drake Maye has played in spite of coaching and the collection of talent around him, or how badly the defense has played in spite of last year's performance and relative continuity on the roster and coaching staff? So I'm glad this is in podcast form because on Twitter or anywhere else, this would just be taken as a slight if you pick one or the other. Like, oh my God, you didn't expect Drake Maye to be any good if you picked the defense? No. Oh, you picked Drake Maye, you thought the defense would be trash? No. The question is, which has been the bigger surprise? Even if it's a slight margin, you got to pick one. And I'm picking the defense, which shocked me until about 10 seconds ago because I believed in Drake Maye. I did not expect him to be this precise or this mature in his approach, the processing and the anticipation, all the stuff we just talked about at the top of the episode. But for the defense to not just be bad, but to be bottom 5 bad by DVOA, EPA per play, and to get worse as the season goes on, even if you lost Jabril Peppers for a while, even if you lost Juwan Bentley, traded Matt Judon, traded Josh Uche, like the staff that left here in New England over the offseason was the offensive staff. These are all new guys. Defensively, you still had your guys down the middle. And even the new coach, Dante Hightower, was great here, who obviously played really well and was regarded as a coach on the field when he was playing, not to mention the defensive head coach. So, yeah, I'm surprised at the defense. It's not shocked me if they were average, even a little bit below average, to be this bad. It's a bigger surprise than Drake Maye taking off, which, though, has been a complete shock because he's been outstanding and everyone else has been crappy. So that'll do it. I have to run off. I have to get a new voice box to go do TV. Later this week, we will have another episode. It will be a compilation of all the player interviews we've done. We skipped in the last week or two. The 4-minute drills with different player every week. They've been a ton of fun. If you've missed them, don't worry. Next episode is going to be virtually all of those 4-minute drills, all those player interviews put into one. We are endeavoring to get a certain quarterback who you love to watch and I love to talk about for later this season, but that is TBD. So stay tuned next week. A lot of fun player interviews. Please do rate and review if you have a second. Apple, Spotify, YouTube, whatever. Subscribe to my YouTube channel @_Andrew Callahan. It's been a lot of fun. Patriots get a bye week. We all earned it. Take a break. Enjoy. And thanks as always for watching and for listening.